Hi, this is the B-Side Book Reviews, and this week at work someone made the comment that I looked a bit like a mountain man. I can't imagine why, but such a comment made me think. I started thinking about all the places I've gone on vacations. We go on a lot of trips to national parks. Now, when I go to a national park, or anywhere else for that matter, I buy three things: a coffee cup, a t-shirt, and a book. Wow, who would have thought? And apparently caps. Occasionally caps, yes. Sequoia National Park, by the way. So, this one I bought at Mammoth Cave National Park. We went there a few years ago, and it is called Scary Stories of Mammoth Cave. Written by Coleen, O'Connor, Olson, and Charles Hanion. Hanion. I think that's how you call his name. Say his name. Charles Hanion. So, I'm trying to recreate the moment by getting in the closest thing to a cave I have. Well, my patio. I do have stone walls. I also have an airplane flying over, apparently. Can't see it. And I have lots of leaves that are just rustling around, making all kind of gosh awful noise. I don't even have trees back here. I don't know where they came from. So, grab yourself something to drink. This is my beverage of choice while I'm out in the wild. And let's take a look at Scary Stories of Mammoth Cave. Ooh. If wandering around a few hundred feet in the world's longest cavern system isn't freaky enough, well, here's a book that will enhance the freakiness for all of us. Yeah. Let's not worry about falling off into the bottomless pit, or maybe taking a wrong turn and never finding your way back. Now, why worry about such simple fears when there are far greater things to worry about? Yes, in the depths of Mammoth Cave, there are ghosts, mummies, freaky voices, and some big monster in the Green River that, well, tends to jump around from time to time. Okay, the monster in the Green River sounds a little like a big catfish. Now, the scariest thing about the Green River is the Green River. That is one nasty looking river. And the poor catfish was just probably trying to get out of it. Yeah, it's that nasty. As for all the other stories, well, some doctor thought a cavern was a good place to treat tuberculosis. And most of his patients died. Wow, who would have thought? And a few folks did wander off from the tour and got lost. Yeah, this happened back in the day of the lantern tours. Now, as for the ghosts, well, they were pretty much just stories. Although there is an interesting story about some guy who stumbles across this young Indian who tells him of the upcoming Civil War. The Indian claims that the war is payback for the cruel treatment of his people. Not sure why this native decided that the depths of a cavern was the place to reveal this. But I suppose it's as good a place as any. Now, there's got to be a screenplay idea there somewhere. Don't you think? Wow. There's also been a few sightings of some of the former slave guides and their families wandering around down in the depths of the cavern. Even though, well, they've been dead for years. However, my favorite tale is from a lady who claims she was saved from falling into a pit by the strong arms of Floyd Collins. Floyd Collins was a cave explorer, but the real creepy part here is, well, Floyd Collins had died years before in a neighboring cavern. Now, the really strange thing is, none of these stories are very recent. Yes, all of these tales of terror came about more than half a century ago. Now, apparently, no one has seen anything worth mentioning in the last 50 years. Dead people wandering around? Big deal. Saw that on YouTube just last week. Now, according to one of my tour guides, people tended to do a little drinking on those early tours. Okay, a bunch of drunks wandering around in the depths of a cavern are likely to see just about anything. Who knows? That might have been the inspiration of the old horror movie Trog. Yeah. After a few shots of the local Kentucky moonshine, there's no telling what people might have seen down in the depths of the caverns. Indeed, I saw Elvis over there by that stalactite. It was so cool. Okay, other than the cavern, the most interesting sight I noticed were all the Amish people wandering around the park. That was kind of interesting, I thought. And all the ghostly sounds I heard in Mammoth Cave were, well, that was merely my wife panting, wheezing, and grunting as she climbed up all those steps that led out of the cavern. Wow, scared me. I was kind of expecting a little more freakish stuff, you know. Maybe some stories of Satan running around in the depths of the cavern, chasing the tourists around and poking them with his pitchfork. You know, I don't know, stuff like that. Unfortunately, the book didn't really reveal any tales that made the hair on my arm stand up. However, the one about the Indian and the Civil War was kind of freaky, though. But most of the really good stories were, well, just merely stories. I don't know. Maybe I was expecting a Trog story or something. Ooh, you know Trog, of course. The half-man, half-beast, with the strength of 20 demons that Joan Crawford tried to charm in her last movie back in the 1970s. Yes, we got some displays of the dead, but no Trog stories. No tales of any half-man, half-beast creatures roaming around in Mammoth Cavern. Then again, I'm sure there are some passages in that cavern that haven't been discovered yet. Think about that. Hang on, Trog, we're coming. Now, the best part of this read is that I had just been at Mammoth Cave a few weeks before I actually read the book. Yeah, that's where I bought the book. Makes sense, right? So most of the sites mentioned in the book were still fresh in my memory. The book talks about the bottomless pit and the giant's coffin, which I remember quite well. In fact, I walked over the bottomless pit, which isn't really bottomless, by the way. However, walking over anything called a pit in a cavern by way of a catwalk can be a bit unnerving. Now, the book also told how the Green River Monster liked to hang out by the river ferry, which I found while I was out hiking. The ferry, not the monster. Yeah. The Green River Monster must have been taking a nap. But seeing a river ferry was kind of interesting, though. All I can think was, why don't they just build a bridge? Yeah, scary. Now, I had also just read a book here that talked about the cavern explorer, Floyd Collins. So, I had done my reading for this reading. Floyd Collins died a pretty agonizing underground death, by the way. That's pretty creepy in itself. Yeah. Now, most of the stories in this book were short little tales that took a little thought to comprehend. This should explain how I read nearly the entire book while riding to and from Mineral Wells, Texas. Yeah, I was visiting some guy I knew who was doing time in the prison that used to be there in Mineral Wells. Yeah, now there's a bit of a scary story in itself. Actually, I started this book at a tire store while I waited an hour and a half for them to fix a flat. Yeah, one frigging flat, an hour and a half. Now that's even scarier than anything in Mammoth Cave. Full show. So that was Scary Stories of Mammoth Cave. Now, if you've never been to Mammoth Cave and you're ever in Kentucky, that's where Mammoth Cave is, check it out. Very cool. Awesome trip, by the way. Get there early, reserve your tours early, because the really creepy ones where you get on your hands and knees and all that kind of spelunking stuff, they fill up early. I found that out personally. I didn't get to do one. But I did take 3 tours there. And I would recommend Mammoth Cave. And while you're there, buy a book.